Hi, guys. Welcome to Own Your Essence, the podcast where healing meets empowerment. I'm your host, April DeMille, a psychic medium and a life coach specializing in grief, trauma, and toxic relationship recovery. This is a space for deep conversations, powerful transformations, and raw healing. Each week, we'll dive into soul centered topics like psychic mediumship, the supernatural, metaphysical wisdom, emotional grief, addiction, mental health, spiritual wellness, and self discovery. Through inspiring interviews and personal insights, this podcast is here to spread awareness, spark connection, and support your healing journey. If you're ready to set boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and step into your true power, you're in the right place. Let's own your essence together. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. I'm your host, April DeMille, and today we are going to be joined by someone that I would consider a friend. She is a lovely lady, and I get the honor of getting to know her on a personal level. But this is going to be a fun conversation, you guys. It's a little different. So good times ahead for sure. So this is Barbara Worsley. And Barbara she's referred to as the East Coast Dragon Lady and the Galactic Dragon Ambassador. Hey, lady.
Hello.
So I
Hello.
was I was just reading your introduction, but I'm going to let you do the honors of telling our audience a little bit more about who you are, what you're doing, and how you got here.
All right.
Loaded question.
I know. I'm going to say that's a loaded question, isn't it?
Totally.
Yes. So, thank you. And as we just said, it's been a long time since we've actually chatted. So it spans like a couple of years.
It has
Um,
been.
yeah. So my name's Barbara Worsley, but I'm also known as the East Coast Dragon Lady. And that was the title that came literally I was in a Facebook group meeting and there was two other Barbaras and somebody said, well, which Barbara are you? And I said, oh, I'm the East Coast Dragon Lady, because I often used to say, I'm Barbara from the East Coast. I'm the
Yeah.
Dragon Lady. And then everyone was like, that's an awesome name for you. So it sort of stuck from there so now I don't have to say I'm Barbara. Well, people still want to. And also I have to say, don't let my accent fool you, right? Because I live on the East Coast of the United States. Uh, Even
Yeah.
though I've lived here since 1991, so 24, nearly 25 years. We've
I'm
been,
surprised you still have that thick accent after being
well,
here that long.
yeah, you don't. Well, according to my family in England, I have an American accent because I
Yeah.
use the Americanisms. If I've had family visiting, which my brother was visiting this year, people go, "Oh, I know you around British people."
Yeah, because it
Um,
gets a little stronger. That's so funny because I have been mostly from Texas, but when I'm like around Texas, my southern family, I don't sound anything like them. Like I
right.
sound a lot more maybe like a Utah accent because I spent time there too. So
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
So
that
it
works.
sort of it used to be. I used to think that I knew everybody where people were from regionally in England, and now it sounds to me like they're all speaking the same. Right,
Yeah.
they don't, right. Even my family sounds all the same, but I can pick out accents here now.
Yeah.
And you often meet people that have lived here for 30 plus years from other countries, and you can always hear the accent underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always start off by saying, don't fool. I actually live in the United States. So say I've been here all that time, and so it was, I don't know how long ago. Certainly during COVID or before COVID, I started to get, so before I sort of jumped back into spiritual stuff, I had many years where I divorced, I was a single mom. I brought up two teenage boys that had their struggles, and I was working two jobs, and like everything just fell by the wayside. So I'd done Reiki, polarity therapy, and some energy. I used to call it energy work, but that all sort of fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, where a lot of us were at home going, what should I be doing? I sort of found a couple of online communities, and I decided, and it must have been 3 years ago now, I just decided I would go on a journey. Let me just see where it takes me. So I didn't have any sort of destination or expectations. And it was a bit like going down a lazy river, right? I just
Yeah.
went a bit over here, dabbled a bit here, learned a bit more, learned some new stuff, went back over here. And then literally out of the blue, while I was still sort of figuring out, oh, I'm still not quite sure what modality am I going to pick, I met some dragons. And it was really when people still weren't talking about dragons, and literally they appeared in the sky.
Yeah.
And I would say,
Yeah.
you can't make this up. I was out walking,
I
and
can I can vouch for that experience. I've seen them too. So,
I have pictures to prove it because I was out
mhm.
walking and I kept hearing, look up, because often when I go out for walks and don't put anything to listen to, I'll hear messages. And that's, often when you're quiet, because I can't do it meditating, I have to do walking meditation. So when I looked up, these dragons were literally jumping from clouds, dive, and I'm like, why am I seeing dragons? Like, it never even entered into my vocabulary, dragons. It wasn't like I liked them when I was a kid. So I could have my cell
You're
phone
like,
with
of all the things, where the fuck would
me.
this come from?
And I started taking pictures because I wanted to prove, not just to, like, am I seeing things? So I'm like, I need to prove to myself when I get back what I'm seeing. So
Yeah.
when I actually, but then when you can open it up a bit more, I could see faces. I could see the faces of these dragons. And then I started, like, people I knew, I'm going, why am I seeing dragons? And they were like, oh, I don't know. I mean, nobody like had an answer for me, which
Mhm.
I know why now. And then I really didn't get anything. I didn't like, and then one day I just started hearing from the dragons, and they didn't like say who they were specifically, but I started to get what I now know as channeled messages. I
Mhm.
was still in that stage of saying, oh, I do automatic writing. Oh, I
Yeah.
do this. I never claimed the channel part until it was pointed out to me. And then when I changed that vocabulary and said, oh, I channel, like the heavens, everything opened up. And then it
Then
was
they
like,
don't shut up.
oh, that, right, yeah.
Yep.
And only that I realized that when I was saying that, I was talking to archangels or whatever, that I was actually channeling them because I was writing it down. That all changed. And then, as you said, the dragons, what I've realized now is you have to learn to work with them, because then they got really excited.
Yeah.
And I started to get lots and lots of information coming in, like almost overwhelming amounts. And it just got faster and faster and faster until I got like physically unwell.
Yeah.
And they went, oh, we forget you're human.
Yeah. You're like, dial it back, buddies.
They were like, oh, yeah, we're stopped.
Yeah.
And what I learned was you can ask them questions and they will answer you. So I'm like, why am I not meeting just one dragon? And they were like, oh, because I connect with collectives of dragons
Yeah.
more than individual dragons. And then they went on to explain to me that because my practice was to ground every day, like literally fully ground myself, because I'm also a Pisces. So
Oh, yeah, that explains.
I live, a few feet off the ground, and I realized I had to really be firmly here so
Yeah.
that I
Girl,
receive.
I still struggle with that one.
Oh, I think everybody does, but
Yeah.
they said, because you've been doing this consistently, the deeper you go, the higher the vibration. And they're like, you can go really deep, so you can go really high. And
Mm.
that was and everything I've learned about dragons, they've taught me. Like, you can't sit down and read about it. I mean, there's more information coming,
Now.
right?
Yeah.
And then another, so one of these days, they said, they started talking about a group of dragons that were coming to Mother Earth. And this was a
Okay.
couple of years ago. And they were showing me that they were very brightly colored dragons. They were a big collective, mainly of elders and guardians. And they
Okay.
were like, you'll see us when we arrive. We're these rainbow of colors. And, if you've seen the rainbows in the clouds,
Yeah, like the little fire rainbows or prisms or whatever.
Rainbows.
Yeah.
They were like, that will be your sign that we're here. So once they arrived, they were like bringing in all this elder wisdom and guardian wisdom. And they said, the best way that you can get our message out into the world is you need to do an oracle deck. And I'm like,
Oh,
me
yeah.
do an oracle deck? That's no, I wasn't. And they were like, so I say my dragons are very prescriptive. And they said, no, you will do an oracle deck and we will channel the messages for you. And I'm like, okay,
Okay. Yeah, okay then.
okay, if that's what you say. So what I've learned is when they say you're going to do something, you do it, right? And
Yeah.
then, and it was
When they
about,
say that, it's because you're already tapped into that frequency
right.
and you're just going to be doing it anyway.
And also it's about, yeah, it's there. But it's also what I learned was it was about trusting that when they gave you the message,
Yeah.
that it was actually a good reason.
Yeah.
So I did what they told me.
Yeah.
I found somebody who would do the art. That was Tammy Cantrell. You probably know Tammy.
Yeah, I know of her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Tammy also does my website.
Okay.
But Tammy was like, "Oh, I want. Can I take a like first stab at it?" And we realized that I got the messages. I'd send them to her, and she would produce like exactly the right card.
Hmm.
So we did. But what was interesting was they gave me the name of the colors that they want. I mean, it got very prescriptive. So they picked Crayola and then they
Okay.
picked these array names of Crayola. And there they were. I mean, you went and looked for it and, oh, that color. And then they said, we want gold around the edge. And like, we're going to self publish, right? So I don't. They were like, no, this is how you do it. And that's exactly what we did. And it worked out because they wanted, so what they did with me was they wanted me to also tap into that energy. And actually, they took me on like a past life memory so
Okay.
that what I brought through was a message for them about that particular card. So things like I did divine feminine, divine masculine. So there
Okay.
was grandmother, mother. So, I mean, and it was really nice for me to go on a journey with them and also
Yeah.
produce something. So,
You get to co-create something really magical.
yes. And
Yeah.
that's, and it's sort of the more that I've worked with it over the last couple of years, it's sort of changed. It's been interesting, but
Yeah.
that was the big thing
Do
they
you
did.
have your Oracle deck in your book right by you?
Yeah.
I was going to say you could show it.
Yeah. Um, so it's actually it's the ancient intergalactic guardians, dragons of the multiverse.
Beautiful.
I
Oh,
think
it's not showing. There's a little bit.
yeah.
Okay. Where is that on Amazon?
No, so I
Okay.
self-published. So if
Oh, okay.
anybody's interested,
It's on your website.
I couldn't figure that out.
Okay. Okay.
And
Yeah.
I asked a few people, and they're like, "Oh, it's difficult, right?" And it was, I know, but anyway, I didn't do that. So I self-published. So
Okay.
if anybody is interested or they want a deck, I do readings with them as well. But as I say, they've transformed from whereas I would just do a reading from this, whereas the dragons now sort of guide me and say, because I've like everybody, I've got a lot of oracle decks now, and they
Yeah.
say, go and get that deck out of the drawer that says so and so on it, or like they guided me to the fairies.
Yeah.
So so the dragons for me have, apart from being there with me and teaching me a lot of things, is they've also taken me to other things.
Yeah.
Um,
Like other realms and other beings. Yeah.
I hadn't touched fairies. I was like around that, and
That was definitely a big one for me from the moment I was little, was the fairies right away.
no, you see, none of that was. It's interesting because it all sort of started as I got older, but it was the fairies were interesting. Again, I was out walking, and one day I heard these voices from the woods, right? And they're going, "You need to come over
Come
here."
play. Yeah, come
And
play
I
with
went, and
us.
they started to show me, like how they're like, you can tell, like what they actually said was, if you, they said, you keep coming through our kingdom when I ground myself or when I put my roots down, but you never stop. Stop and talk to us.
Oh, they're like, don't forget to smell the roses. We're right
They,
here.
right.
Yeah.
So then it was like, and they asked me to go out one day with fairy eyes and take pictures, right? So they wanted me to take pictures. They again were amazing because when I posted them, people were seeing things. There was an orb, there were things in the trees. It was amazing
Yeah.
what people saw that I didn't see, and vice versa. But what they were showing me was the fairy circles
Oh yeah, those are
made
so cool.
by the sunlight, by the
Yeah.
moss growing on a
Yeah.
rock. It was just amazing. And I'm like, whoa. And they were like, yeah, because how, oh, they said, come and talk to us because we have fairy dragons as well.
Really? How fun.
Fairy dragon. And I think they thought they could allure me in because of the dragons. But they were like, yes, we have fairy dragons as well. Come and talk to us. So, I've connected with that. And so what I'm fast forwarding all of this, but what they've said to me is that we're here to support you and lots of other people. And they've actually told me we're stepping back and we're pushing you forward. We're supporting you. We're behind you. It's not that we're going away, but you don't need us so much, which is that sort
Yeah,
of
and that's an interesting one to play with too, because I have had other guides that have done very similar stuff. It's like when I was going through a certain phase of my life, I needed a certain type of guide or a certain personality, a certain
right.
vibration. And then once that phase wrapped up, it was almost like parting ways. And like, I mean,
Yes,
they're always there if you need them, but like you pretty much don't need them anymore.
right.
And
Well,
so it's like it's just like saying goodbye to another phase of yourself.
right. And yeah, so the interest, and this has all just happened recently, was that for the longest time I had struggled to connect with, or I thought I struggled to connect with my higher self.
Yeah.
Right? It was always like I knew it was there, but it was, I know it was another one of those like, and it was all, there was also other things I needed to do. One was inner child work, which I kept going, no, thank you, put that aside, go around here, right? I'll go
Nobody
around
wants
here.
to do that shit.
Oh, it's like I want to go back there. But
Yeah.
so what happened was that I'd started to, again, I was sort of spreading my wings a bit, and this was the dragons had said I saw somebody was advertising an expo. They were doing like just a fair expo, but for spiritual people, and it was a 2 hour drive away. And I looked at it, and the dragons went, "You need to go there." And I'm like, but it's a 2 hour drive. They're like, you need to go. I'm like, okay, I don't know why I'm going, but I'll go. So I went, I took my Oracle decks too. I did some readings. I sold a few things. And I'm like, okay, nothing really happened.
You're like, nothing really stood out.
A month later, the two people that were organizing this said, oh, it was so amazing that you were here and we heard so many good things. Like, we'd like to host you for a weekend. Would you be willing to come back out here? And they said, before I said, oh, they were like, and we've got an Airbnb that is ours, that we can put you up. Because I'd said, oh, I'm not going to do that again. 2 hour drive there,
Yeah.
2 hours
2 hours
back, and
back.
4 hours at an expo. That was like too much in one day.
Yeah.
They offered for me to stay. Oh,
Nice.
and they were like, and then what we want to do is we're going to take you to this place on Friday night, and then Saturday we've invited some people that are interested in dragons. And how would you feel if
Is
we
this
did?
how you got into the summit stuff?
It was no, this was, I'd seen it just advertised.
Oh, okay.
They'd asked me if I was interested in connecting with my dragon, my inner dragon.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I've had a few experiences of being a dragon or understanding that. I'm game for anything. Yeah, you can do.
Yeah.
And so these, I didn't realize at the time, but that was what they were actually, QHHT, past life regressionists, which is
Oh,
the
okay.
Dolores
Yeah.
Cannon, right?
Yeah.
So they said, so then after they met me, they're like, oh, I don't think we're going to have to do too much work with you.
Yeah.
So they said, so we did this whole setup. They like laid me down and literally took me on a meditation, and out came this really interesting, like really, but the voice came from my solar plexus. It was like this booming voice,
Yeah.
uh, very male, and answered questions for the audience. They had questions about dragons and about him, but at
Yeah.
the end of it, we realized we didn't ask who he was. It,
Uh,
we completely, they were so excited that a dragon actually came through. So later on, he actually started speaking to me, and he said, "I'm a high aspect of you, like you," and gave me all this information. So his name was Edward, not Edward, but Edward. He
Okay.
was in the Edwardian times. He said he was the oracle for a family,
Okay.
um, the Edward family, and
Okay.
that's how he got his name. So he was this oracle. Um, so that was like really interesting. But it
Would you say that's like one of your like most surprising favorite dragon moments?
yeah, it was because
Yeah. Okay.
it was I'd connected to my higher self,
Yeah.
and this voice came through, which I'd never done a trans channeled messaging, which is what I was doing, trans
Yeah.
channeling.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, wow, that was like amazing. And then it was videotaped, and then people watched it, and they were saying there were orbs coming off, and so it was like really, it was sort of magical,
Yeah.
really. But it
Yeah.
made me connect immediately to my higher self, and I've had this feeling that he wanted me to bring him through again, but I was a little bit sort of, I wasn't sure. Um, so I was also doing some work with some other people, and I connect. So with the channeling now, it seems like I can open myself. I'll channel anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how it
um,
works. It's like once
I know.
that light's on,
I know. It's like,
all the
oh, there
spirits
she is.
know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was doing actually a group of people that I joined realized that I had a connection with the Galactics, and they'd asked me to do a meditation. And as minute I started talking, in came all these star beings, and they
Oh, yeah.
started to give a message from the one. They were saying it was the one source, right? The source energy. Um, and then I realized that when I was doing this meditation, I was actually channeling, right? The message was channeled. It wasn't me saying, oh, now go here. And I'm like, wow, that's really opened up something. And then literally, like I was out a couple of days ago walking, and Edward said, when you get back, you need to channel me, which is exactly what I did.
Yeah.
So that's been, and it was opening up to my higher self,
I
opened
was
up,
gonna say maybe that's his
and
mission with you right now is to get you more accustomed to that.
yeah. So what they also showed me was it was like an egg, and they said so. This message that I got from the star beings and from what other channeling I was doing was that they were saying we're all like an egg, and then once you've cracked that egg, it starts opening more and more light can come in, which
Hmm.
sort of allows us to then do that. And it's not like I get bothered because I was just thinking a lot of people go, oh, don't you get bothered a lot? It's like, no, it's not always on their terms, but I think I've got to learn how to work with that energy, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But that's been a new development literally in the last, 4 months
yeah.
was going from the dragons talking to me and working with them and doing and several times they've taken me on inward journeys like to my chakras to learn about dragon chakras, dragon energy. I did do I became a dragon empowerment Reiki master teacher,
Okay.
again on them connecting me with somebody.
Is that
So
one of your favorite modalities? Is like Reiki when you're doing like working with people?
it's yeah, it's always been for me more like energy work because
Yeah.
I can't necessarily say it's Reiki. It's
I
like
actually just had this very similar talk with someone the other day.
right,
Um, because even though I'm certified as a Reiki master,
yeah,
I don't the typical Usui Reiki is not, I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. I
no,
was always intuitively doing Reiki on my own. I have blue fire, like this blue fire energy.
yeah,
And I was always doing it even when I was little, and I just didn't understand that it was called a thing. And so I learned the modality for the sake of having the understanding and the tool, but I still do it my way.
right.
And it doesn't look like that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened to me when I came across Reiki completely by accident.
Yeah.
Um, I was actually so when we moved to this country, I was a nurse, so I've got a nursing background, right?
Oh
So
yeah, I wanted to
I
get back to that
was
too.
doing hands-on. I mean, even it's a real distinction for me. I can say before I came to this country, I mean, I was a nurse and I did nursing. I never thought about being a healer, but
Right.
people said to me, if you're a nurse, you're healing people.
Yeah, you're a healer.
Hello. It was only when I came to the United States and as my marriage was ending that I started to find these modalities, which clearly helped me through a lot of stuff. And I, first of all, did the Asui Reiki just by some. So I was taking, I think at one time I was doing nails and pedicures and skincare. You know, I was doing aesthetics.
Okay.
And one of our teachers was a Reiki master. And somebody said, "Oh, our teacher's a Reiki master." And I'm like, "I don't know what that is." And they were like, "Well, she's doing a weekend course." And I'm like, "Oh, I need to do that." So I
Yeah.
signed up for it and was like, "Whoa, this is awesome."
Yeah.
So, but what I realized, it just opened me up to energy in me. You know, my hands get really hot, you know, like
Yeah.
a lot, like
Yeah.
anybody. And then I went on to do some other things. And one of so I did polarity therapy, which is similar sort of thing, but it's using the meridians and
Okay.
but they were very particular. They said you couldn't use any other energy, right? So, but for me, every time I got near somebody, you know, it would turn on and they would say, turn that off. You don't use that. And I'm like, I can't help it. It
Well,
stuck
that's the thing. Like, there's already a frequency in you
frequency.
where you're like programmed to do this healing.
Right. So that's so then I'm so what I learned to say is like I do energy healing, right?
Yeah.
Because it was rather than saying it's Reiki. And I hadn't done Reiki Master. I've always taken I did a couple of others. And I never felt the need to be a Reiki Master
Hmm.
until I took Dragon Empowerment Reiki. And the dragon said, you need to be a Reiki Dragon Master teacher. And I'm like, okay, I still don't know why, because I haven't really felt I want to practice that. But what
Yeah.
it did for me was that when I started to do the work with, if I do energy work on people, the dragons come in immediately and they do most of the work. And it's really fast. It's like 30, 40 minutes, and they will just go, it's lasered. That
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
very like to clear your chakras, they just do it because they've done it to me like 3 times in and out, and they go,
Yeah.
that's it, done. It
Yeah.
was again, this was fun. There I was going, you know, opening somebody up, and they're going, what are you doing? And
You're
I'm
like,
like,
I'm doing it my way.
doing, and they were like, step aside, and they showed me, and then they let me go back, and I was doing something else, and they're like, we can do this so much faster. Step aside, and they did it. The person receiving it, I found out afterwards, was actually a Reiki master herself, and she said that was like amazing, but that was really fast. And I'm like, oh, the dragon stepped in. And she said that she felt like the difference of them just stepping in and just doing it.
Taking
And they were like,
over.
you don't need to take 2 hours to do a session.
Yeah.
We're
Well, and I
just doing,
think that's kind of what I was running into with Reiki is it had to be 3 minutes minimum
oh,
per thing. And I
yeah,
was like, what? I was like, what a fucking load of shit. It doesn't take that long. It takes a matter of seconds. So like
hands on,
it literally, I could do an entire session in 10 minutes.
yeah,
Probably even less than that. And so that's why I was like, you know what? This is great to know. That's
right.
great tool to have. It's nice to learn the other
Yeah.
modalities, but I do it my way.
And it's intention. I think what the dragons have taught me is it's like you can laser it because it's your intention, you're focused, rather than saying, well, I'm in this chakra now, I'm going to clean this out, right?
Hmm.
So that's what they've shown me all along. It's like we can do things much faster
Yeah,
and
it's
complete, right?
it's
Yeah,
pretty efficient. Like get in, get out.
yeah. Getting out,
Get
yes.
in, get out. Like, well, and if you think about it, it's less damage control for you because since we're empaths and we absorb so much of other people's energy,
Yeah,
there's a reason why our way is more efficient.
right.
And there's less recovery involved for you.
Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, the energy comes through us. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though in Reiki they tell you it's healing for you, I don't
Yeah.
always feel that.
I
It's
don't always feel that either because I am not programmed that way.
right.
I don't know how much you know about human design, but I'm a generator. So
Oh,
I'm always putting out energy and all the things. So I have to be very mindful of
yeah,
grounding that and protecting that because
yeah,
it's easily absorbed.
yes, yeah, yeah. And I think it's, but knowing you've got the higher beings, so
Yeah.
not just, knowing that we've got access to that, I
Yeah.
find helpful because I feel like as well, I sort of started off galactically, and now I've just come back to this Lionsgate, brought in these whole slew of galactics again,
Yeah.
especially the star beings. So it was like, oh, we're back at Lionsgate and full circle with galactic stuff. So
So while we're on that thread, let me
yes,
ask you a few questions.
yeah.
I have a couple of little questions I jotted down for you.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think is a common misconception about dragons?
Oh, that they're scary.
Right?
That they're scared. Oh, that people think like this huge. Well, they can be, but they're very careful with us.
Hmm.
Like they won't show us any more. I mean, first of all, I mean, I saw dragons in the sky. Then I went months and months. I mean, probably 8 months before I actually saw a full dragon,
Okay.
um, or full dragons. So people will see eyes. It's very common that people
Yep.
see eyes. They'll see scales,
Yep.
colors,
I
that
want to say
shimmering.
my first experience was like the red scales in the eyes, but I did very
Yeah,
quickly see the full dragons after that.
yeah. And I think the other misconception is they think that when dragons breathe fire, that it's going to burn, and it
Hmm.
isn't. It's an energy. So it's like
It's a
what we see is,
clearing.
yeah, the fire, like the fire dragons, they love to come in and clear a path for us or clear it out. And they will say, like, it won't burn you, but it will clear it out. So it's just what we see. But and that's, I think, is the main misconception about dragons.
I
They're
would
not,
agree. I
they
would
won't
agree with
hurt us,
that. Yeah,
right? They
I would agree with
won't hurt
that.
us.
Do you think like okay, so out of all the dragons and all the personalities that you've worked with, have do you have one that's like a favorite, got like a fun personality or a personality that stands out the most, like one that you maybe call on the most? I know you talked about Edward, but or Edward.
Yes,
Did I say that right?
Edward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but is he the favorite or do you have like others that you have
Um,
that have stood out to
no,
you?
mainly because I don't necessarily have. Well, they tell me I have personal dragons, but and again, so I think this is another misconception about names, right?
Okay.
So they've been very funny with me, right? Because people often say, "Oh, I need like a lot of people wanting, can you connect me with my dragon and can you tell me what my dragon's name is?" Well, they always say that we actually couldn't pronounce what their name
That is
is,
100% what I get to.
couldn't pronounce the
Yeah.
name. But they said, but we forget you're human.
And we'll
So
give
we'll
you a
give
stupid
you a
name just
name.
for your sake.
And then just to be funny, they started giving me really old fashioned names like
Okay.
Ethel, Martha. And I'm like, okay, I get it, I get it. And the other thing is, on the other side of that, is that some dragons don't want to be named because they were only named when they were captured.
Oh,
So
okay.
there are many dragons that left Earth because of whether they were in Atlantis or wherever, and they left because and a lot of them are still. I mean, people are still uncovering dragons. So when a dragon was captured, they were named.
Yeah.
So that's why they will often say, "You can call me anything,
Yeah.
even if you refer to us by color,
It's
or if
about
you
your
want."
intent.
It's a yeah. So I don't really think I have a favorite,
Okay.
but I certainly purple. I see a lot of purple dragons, and I think purple for me is about healing. If you see green dragons, they're earth dragons. But then I've also got a lot of galactic dragons, and they're multiple colors. And there's so many of them that I couldn't name them. I just know them as collectives.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to get into some of the galactic stuff with you.
Sure.
Uh, where would you say the majority of the collective stems from? Like what star system, or are they kind of a
Yeah.
mix of everywhere like we are?
Well, yeah. I mean, so if we start talking about the galactic realms, all of us have got some. We're all made up of extraterrestrial whatever
Right.
DNA. Nobody's from Earth. I mean, these are my beliefs. None of us came
Right.
from here. We're all here having this
We're
experience.
all transplants.
Yes, and we only chose to come here. So a lot of that goes back to, again, people's beliefs. And not I mean, I know that, we're souls having a human experience, and we often say, what was I think? I do. I go, what was I thinking?
I'm
That I
still super pissed
like,
at
did I
myself
really
for
sit
ever
there
coming
with a
here.
checklist
Yeah.
oh, well, yeah, give me a bit of that and a dose of that, a dose of that, and that'd get me done. My intention is not to come back.
Yeah. Yep.
I do
Me too.
I do have, I've actually, it's been confirmed as well that I've been shown where I originate from, so
Okay.
which is Mars. But
Okay.
then I was told that I'm not a typical Martian because I spent most of my many lifetimes on Andromeda B.
Okay.
So I'm more Andromedan. But it was, and this
Okay.
was somebody who was doing the cash record reading, but also she knew that I had said I felt that I was from Mars, and she
And
kept
this
saying,
must have been before the wars because Mars and Venus are inhabitable now.
yes,
So like,
right.
yeah.
So they actually, at one time, one of the things I was shown was like literally a planet that was devastated, completely burnt out. And I'm like, why are you showing me this? And they're like, this is where you came from.
Yeah. Got it.
I
Yeah.
mean, I wasn't given it much more information, but it was. But then when I've had memories of life with the technology, it was very sort of built up and lots of metal and very high tech.
Yeah.
Um, so
Just,
that, and I've completely forgotten your question about galactics because they took me there. So what did you say about? Oh,
I
what's
was just
my
kind of,
favorite
no,
galactic?
I was asking like where you thought they might originate from the most of the Dragon Collective, but we just kind of went
So,
over all that.
yeah, and dragon. So the dragons have actually told me that they're on. So this is again, this is a while back. They've said that they're not on the planets; they're in the planets.
Okay.
We think that everybody should be
So they're
on the
more
first.
interdimensional.
They're interdimensional, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
multi, and they're on majority of planets, and they say sometimes it takes them a long time to come. So this collective
Hmm.
that was coming in, they were coming from galaxies and star systems, and they sometimes go down wormholes and they planet hop.
Yeah.
But a few dragons that I've encountered have talked about how they've never been out on the surface, that they're in the planet, not on the planet, because it's either they can't breathe or, you know,
Yeah. That makes sense actually. But that also leads me to my next question. Do you have any thoughts, hints, nudges about their connection to Draco Reptilian?
right. That's a loaded question, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I mean, there's no wrong answer. I'm just
Oh
like
no,
on your like your first instinct, would
yeah,
you say yes or no kind of thing?
right. So I think reptilians get a bad rap.
They totally do.
Like, and I think everybody. That's again when people think about if you talk about extraterrestrials, then they're going to come and they're not going to come here to start a war. They're actually out
They're
there
trying
trying
to
to prevent.
solve, I was going to say they're trying to solve all
Well,
the
yeah,
issues.
but the only reasons that there's so many of them out there right now is that they're really worried about what's going on Earth. Um,
Yeah.
I think there are good and bad, like there are good and bad in
In
humans.
humans, yep.
There's
And
good Dracos. I mean
well, and
Dracos.
there's alliances and different things
Reptilians.
happening.
There's good reptilians and there's not. And I think that there may be the bad reptilians have made alliances with people on Earth. I do.
Just like the good ones have made alliances
This
too.
is the
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then a lot of one of the first times I connected with Galactics was Commander Ashtar, and I hadn't read that some people have a real like think, oh, he's not real, right? But I also know a lot of people that have connected with Ashtar and the Federation and Galactic Command. Um, but that was another one of I touched that because again, I was doing channeled writing and I'm like, who is this? And it was like, I'm Commander Ashtar. And I'm like, I have no idea
You're
who
like,
that
okay,
is.
what's that mean?
Right. So, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, I think there is good and bad in all races, right? So there are any, if we say, oh, well, we've got good ETs or bad ETs, I just think that
I don't
reptilians
even know if there's really I think for me, I don't even think of like bad necessarily. I think more just like 3D self-serving. Does that
Right,
make sense?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I just think like our agendas are just so very different.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Um, okay, one more question for you.
yeah,
Any thoughts on okay, so this one's one that has come up, and I think I'm going to ask some future guests this question too. Um, what are your thoughts on, since we are our own gods, like our higher self, we're all the oneness, right? And what are your thoughts on like when we're asking for our guides to come in, our guides, our masters, the dragons, the fairies, the angels, whatever it is, right? Whatever we're calling on. Do you feel like that is it, do you think it's us giving away our power when we do things like that?
no, no. I think that I think a lot of the, again, I think it's a learning process. So I've certainly learned that once you, and again, this goes back to connecting with your higher self and understanding who you are and
Yeah.
what your purpose here is, you don't need to do that. So I think we feel that, like, especially with like archangels and guardian angels, often people, I mean, through history, people pray to,
Right.
you know, with if you're Catholic, or any religion, it's like, or people think that when somebody dies here, they become an angel. It's all of those things. And I don't think there's anything wrong in it. And I'm sure over the years I've sort of said, we all do in times of need, we're saying, somebody come in and help me, and I don't know how to handle this. But what I've learned, and again, nobody taught me this, I've come to this conclusion, is that it's, and I learned it by, it's more about, I was getting a lot of people telling me what I should be doing, is what
Yeah.
it felt like. Oh,
Yeah.
you should be going over here, or you should be doing that, or you should be doing this. And I was like, no, stop. And I literally stopped and took a step back and said, that isn't what I want. And I don't know what it is I want, but it will come to me. And the minute I dropped all of everybody else's expectations and even my own expectations, it shifted. And that was the beginning of this year, that I literally, and I had to, a couple of people had to say, you need to back off. This isn't working for me.
Yeah.
And their energy wasn't working. So I don't think that I think people will get there eventually. And sometimes
Yeah.
you'll get there by connecting with your angels and your
Right.
dragons, because
Yeah.
they're there to guide us. They're not there to perform miracles so
Like,
much.
yeah, they're
They're
not there to diminish our power or our
power.
authority, but like to
They're
like
there to,
maybe co-create with us and be
yes,
mirrors for us on like
yeah,
where to go next.
yeah. I always have this image, because the dragons have said this, and I know that angels say it as well. Like, we're sort of struggling with something. We're going, oh, I don't know, what should I be doing? And the angels are sitting there going, well, you just have to ask us. Why aren't you asking us? And the dragons do the same thing. They're like, we see people like, oh, I don't know what, and they're like, we're right here. Like, I have the common question people will say to me is like, well, how do I connect with my dragon? And I'm like, talk to them. And they're like, what? I'm like, they're
Yeah, and
there.
actually it's great that you bring that up because for anybody listening that has been like hesitant or had a little resistance around how do I ask my angels or my guides, how do I call them in? How do I hear from them? This is great information. Like
It is,
you just talk to them.
yeah, talk to them. And they're like, what, out loud? Well, you can write it down if you want. But
Or out
eventually,
loud. You can do it
or
out
out
loud. You
loud,
can do it
do it
inner.
out
Like it
loud
doesn't matter.
in your head.
Yeah, there's no
Um,
wrong
but,
way.
but they're there. And that's why I think, when, like we were saying earlier, you can see that little bit of shimmer out the corner of here. I had a funny thing happen to me, because my dragons can be really funny. And I went for a massage, and it had been one of those, like, that. So one of my sons bought me a massage for my birthday. And while I was there, I was thinking, why don't I do this more often? Why is it like I haven't had this done? So I booked a series of massages, and I'm lying on the table, and all of a sudden I'm like, there's somebody else in the room. And in the corner of the room was this huge dragon, mainly black, but he had sort of like a green outline, outline, but he was like what I'd call a cartoonish looking dragon with this big belly on him. And he was sitting there and he was laughing. And he's like, is this what you humans do? And it was like I wanted to laugh out loud, but I couldn't really tell the massage therapist that there was a dragon in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't, like, he just thought it was so funny that there I was letting somebody do this to me. And he goes, this is what you humans do.
This is what self-care is, Dragon.
Right. It's self care. Right. But I think, they're experiencing things through us as well.
Yeah, they are.
Because they don't know a lot about,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know a lot about those things. So they're experiencing it through us, but they can be very, very funny.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. But I think to that question, it's like there's nothing wrong in calling in everybody to help you, but eventually you'll figure out who's your go-to,
Well, and
whether you need.
sometimes I think it's even a mark of strength when you are able to utilize your resources and call for support.
Right.
Like if you
Yes.
think about it in those terms.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think the other thing that I got, and I'm sure people know this as well, is like we're looking outside of ourselves all the time. And the message is it's all inside. It's
Okay.
all within you. You have all those answers,
Yeah.
which could be very frustrating when somebody's saying to you, I need help. And you're like, well, go inside. All the answers are in there. But I mean, that's what I often get back
But
when
it's
I
true,
ask.
like just sit still, the answer will come.
Yes. Yeah. That is in.
Ideally.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a lot of times no, I'm trying to think who it was that said it. I think, so it's Merlin. So we haven't mentioned Merlin. So I knew he would pop up. So Merlin has been with me a lot, but he often says that we need to be quiet. In the stillness, you will hear us, right? So
Yeah.
sit quietly and you'll be surprised and we're so busy wanting to do other things, but just sit for a few minutes. Preferably. So now he's taking off his shoes and socks.
He's like, get cozy.
Put your feet on the ground, like get cozy, yeah. Or
Yeah.
like I said, for me, I can't meditation for me. It's really hard for me to like sit still and just meditate. But if I go out for a walk, that's my meditation.
I was actually just having that talk the other day too, because
Yes.
a lot of us are tapped into such high frequencies that meditation doesn't work for a lot of us. It doesn't work for me.
No, it doesn't.
I can sit and meditate, but it doesn't take me very long to do the thing and get out of it. So
Right.
meditation in motion is better for somebody that's got the neurodivergent brain like I have. It just looks different for people like
Yeah.
us.
And that's when I first met Merlin. Was it was just after my divorce. I was walking my dogs in the woods, and literally he was just standing by a tree. Because somebody asked me this, actually, they actually said, weren't you scared? And when I thought about it, I'm like, no, I wasn't. I just was like, oh my God, this is Merlin. Because he appeared to me just like you would imagine, with the hat, the
Hmm.
long robe, the big staff. He's not very tall. Um, and he just popped up and started talking to me. And every time I'd go in the woods, he would be there chatting away to me. And it was really comforting because he was sort of validating. Because for me, the biggest thing was I had, like a lot of us, when we go through difficult relationships, I realized when the fall came,
Yeah.
I'd never seen the colors. And I was walking through the woods thinking, wow, I've never seen the colors like this before. Like they were very bright. I mean, I live
Yeah.
in the Northeast, so we have these beautiful
Oh
falls.
God, you guys' falls, I'm so fucking jealous of what y'all
I know,
have.
the reds and the
Oh,
oranges, but I hadn't noticed. And he was the one that said to me, because your eyes are open. Like
yeah.
my eyes weren't open at the time, but now they're open. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us when we step into that, what we're meant to do, step into that power, we sort of light up. And
Yeah.
I certainly hear the messages I sometimes get from the Galactics is like we see them as stars, but they see us as stars on Earth. So
Yeah.
they see us light up. And
Yeah.
that is really exciting for them because they see one person and another one, and they're like, we're waking up.
Yeah. That is actually something very similar to what my guide Renee has said to me is
Yes.
she explained it almost exactly like
So,
that. Like we start to come online and we get
yes,
brighter.
right. And this is what I think is like exciting as well, when people confirm something that you've already been told, right?
Yeah.
So,
There's
like
that clarity, lady.
it is, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I also, so again, for me, it's like things just suddenly like pop up. And again, a while ago, so when the new Pope came in, which was earlier this year, wasn't it? The new Pope, I
Oh,
think.
I couldn't even tell you. I don't even.
So I don't practice any religion. So again, I'm out walking and I see this huge cloud, which looked more like I was thinking it was more like extraterrestrials, like a pod.
Okay.
And I was like, wow. And out the back was like a dragon tail. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then they said, oh, we're the Vatican dragons. And I was like, the what?
What? I
The
didn't know
Vatican
that.
dragons? And they said, yes. And they said to me that the Pope, the
Okay.
new Pope that has just stepped in, um, he freed us from beneath the Vatican. And I'm like, why am I connecting with Vatican dragons? They,
They've got your number, girl.
right. He set us free and we're on a peace mission. So we're going around the earth. And then the next day, and again, this is how synchronicity happens. Somebody posted on Facebook, angels like posted around the earth. And the dragon said to me, and we're in between each one of those angels, there's a Vatican dragon, because they're these
Okay.
beautiful white dragons with these beautiful feathers on them. They're huge. And I thought they also call it. So since then, I've seen what they call the papal pod. So it's this huge pod that's
Okay.
traveling around the earth, and the dragons like pop on and off, and they have like escorts as well. And
Okay.
they're there. And I'm like, why would I connect with anything Vatican? And they're like, because you need to remember lifetimes. And I'm like, I do. And then I was taken to, and this goes into my aversion to doing inner child work.
Okay.
It took me back to being a nun in the Vatican,
Okay.
right? That was my connection. And I've since met other people, and people listening to this might also, who have also had memories of being part of the Order of the White Rose. And this was
Okay.
all messages that I was getting. It was a secret society of nuns,
Yeah.
and they've shown me this picture of me. I was all in white. We didn't wear the black. We just wore all white.
Okay.
And there's a handful of people I've met that were all in the Vatican in this period of time. They're saying there's so many secrets under the Vatican that we need to
Mm-hmm.
go and find them.
Yeah.
So I'm still connecting with people, and it comes in like clumps, and then it goes away. But it was all part of me remembering
Yeah.
some of my past lives, which
Which is important because you have to pick up those pieces to remember even what your direction here is in this incarnation. So,
yeah, and again, like for a lot of us, the veil has thinned so that for a lot of us, we don't have to do past life regressions. I mean, I've literally been taken briefly to a lifetime because they want it to line up with something that I've learned here. So, like for instance, I kept hearing the message of shields up, shields up. And I'm like, what does that mean? Shields up. Why am I hearing that? And then I was shown that it was about EMF coming into the
ah,
planet, and we need to shield up, protect ourselves. I'm like, that makes sense. And then, like 2 or 3 days later, I got taken literally from my dinner table to, I was on a battlefield, and I realized I was a man, and I had this huge shield and a sword in my hand, and I was given the orders, shields up.
okay.
Everybody knelt down and put the shields over their heads because arrows were coming at
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I was like, and I always get body chills when I say that. And I'm like, why was I? And I literally came back after that, and they were like, that's your connection to the past and to the future.
Okay.
So, like, we have because I believe we live parallel lives.
Well, we do. like
right.
millions of them at the
And
same time.
sometimes we jump to those
We do
to
that too. Yeah.
remember. And I'm like, okay. And they were like, because we need you to remember
Yeah.
all of, because what some of the things I'm learning is that we all, in other lifetimes, we took vows, especially as if we've done nuns or we were healers or any of that, vows of poverty, chastity, of obedience, all of those things that have all been in my life this time, right?
Yeah.
That I needed to get rid of, which connected to why I needed to go and do my inner child work,
Yeah.
because I need to work through all those things before I leave. Because they
Yeah.
keep
And that's, I think that's the heavy unlayering fun stuff that we all are like, but we do have to do it. We do have to unpack that stuff.
right, and they're like, because they keep saying to me, if you really don't want to come back, you really have to do the work, and you've got to clear those. It's clearing karma, right? Even though
Yeah.
we know that a lot of that has been forgiven and a lot of that's gone.
Well, and
But it
karma
is
is not like this big scary punishment. It's not how it works.
no, it isn't. So, but it's just all the synchronicities, and then you meet people who say, "Oh, I'm hearing the same thing," or "I've had that," or
Yeah.
"Oh." So I met somebody the other day as well that I'd heard that I was on a peace mission. I was shown myself on a spacecraft, and I knew that I was with lots of other people. But out the window, I could see other craft, and I was asking, "Well, who are they?" And they said, "Well, you're very important people on this craft. You're all going to a peace mission. You're on a peace mission." And I'm like, "I'm on a peace mission." So this is sort of another lifetime.
Yeah.
I've also been taken to this off planet. It's a bit like like in the Roman times when they had the big, where they had the fights, the what do they call
Oh, the
it?
gladiators.
The Colosseum, the gladiators.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's these rows and rows and rows of beings from multiple planets, not just from
Okay.
Earth,
Yeah.
and everybody's meeting. So these
Yeah.
are off-planet peace missions, right? So I have a memory of that. But then I met somebody who I was
That
saying, "Oh,
almost reminds me of like the tables at the Galactic Federation, actually.
yes, yes. So yeah. And so this person said to me, "Well, I knew that I would connect with you because I saw you on that ship." And
Gotcha.
I was like, "Whoa, you saw me on that ship?" And she's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I knew the minute I met
Yeah.
you where I'd met you from."
Well, and that's true. There's sometimes certain people that come into our lives that have certain codes and certain,
Yes,
we just
yeah.
know, our souls know. We're like, hey, we're best buddies. I don't know why I know that, but we are best buddies. Like it just
Well,
happens.
there's a connection, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how, why do I feel connected to
You're
you?
like, why do I know you? But you do.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially
Good,
when
good confirmation for sure.
yes, yes. So that I mean, the thing is that we know that this will be okay. Whatever's going on right now, that it will be okay.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's all part of the plan. So,
Well, it is right, exactly. But it's so I was thinking when I was thinking that we were meeting, I'm like, the other thing I stopped doing several years ago was watching the news, and I
oh
thought,
God, that's so great. I stopped watching the news back in like 2007 or nine.
yeah,
It was a long
it
time
was
ago.
just that it almost becomes a habit, right? This was one of those bad habits that would be like, oh, I need to know what's going on. Oh, I need
Oh,
to know what's going on. What I've
I am
realized since,
blissfully unaware.
but we get to know what we need to know, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the
Either
thing
some
is if there's always, if it's something we have to know, the
right,
there will be a way that the message gets delivered.
yeah.
But I'm not going to be polluting my brain in the meantime.
And I think that has made me feel that has also helped me feel more inward, more peaceful,
And grounded.
and grounded, and
Yeah.
not feeling like, oh my God, the end of the world is tomorrow, right? Because I hear people going, oh, all of it. And I'm like, what? We don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people think like we've lost it.
Well, and I think people are like, "Oh, the planet's going to blow up and all those things." This planet's like the youngest planet in the solar system. It's not going anywhere
Right,
anytime soon.
right,
When they're thinking about end of days, it's because what's happening is our 3D realities are
exactly.
are
Yeah,
the ending of days, because we're transitioning and we're raising our frequency, and that
yeah,
is a new world. It's a new world, it's a new
yeah,
beginning, it's all the things. So that's it's not as literal
yeah,
as Earth is going to blow up. It's
yeah.
yeah.
And as well, I think there's, again, I've heard that, everybody goes, oh, what if, not everybody's going to go. What's going to happen? Well, it's those of us that have chose to come here at this time was for a reason.
Yeah.
And then there are going to be some people that
Well,
are
it's
still
because
want to
we're
stay
like
in.
strategically placed to raise
Yeah.
the grid. I know that that's what my guide showed me. They actually projected a like the earth out like this, and they raised a web out around it,
Oh,
and they
right.
showed how we are like these little
Lights.
light sticks, and we're
Yes. Yes.
strategically, it's like very
Yes.
strategic, like
It,
where we're placed.
yeah. Yeah.
And we're supposed to help raise the grid so that
Yeah.
when people come in going, I know I have a mission and I don't necessarily know what it is. Sometimes it's just being, and
Well,
you're
that's
raising the grid,
right.
you're doing grid
Yeah.
work.
Right. You're right. And that's, again, I've heard that as well. It's like you don't have to do anything. The
Yeah,
fact that we came here
it's
and we
enough.
chose to be here this particular time, which is
Hmm.
a really important time, was just to be here to hold that frequency. Like I've said, they said that we see the lights come on. We
Yeah,
see as people are getting the ahas, right? They're
yeah.
like, oh, I get
Yep.
it now.
It's like, yay, they're coming online.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's right there. And they've actually said that to me. They've said, you look up into the sky and you see the stars, and you're
yeah,
like, oh, there's the stars. We look down on you and we get excited when those lights turn on.
yeah,
And our lights are getting brighter
they
as
are.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is what's going to raise that frequency. So, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
Very good.
it's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, very good talk, lady. I'm so glad you got to
Yeah.
come today.
Yes. Thank you.
So real quick before we hop off of here,
Yeah.
where can our listeners find you easiest?
So easy. So I'm everywhere. I'm East Coast Dragon Lady. So my website is www.eastcoastdragonlady.com,
Okay,
or my email is eastcoastdragonlady@gmail.com.
perfect. And do you have, I know, didn't you have a Facebook group? You still doing
I
the
do,
Facebook?
yes.
Yeah, because don't you do lives?
I actually stopped doing. That was another one of my. I've stopped for a while. I
It's a,
used to
I'm going to
do.
call it a sacred pause.
Well, it's, yeah, sacred pause. Yeah, I. Who knows what's going to
Right,
happen?
something's
Um,
transitioning. So, but you do
there
have a
is.
Facebook
I
group.
have a Facebook group. I have a private one, which people can usually find me. If you find me on Facebook, I can invite you to it.
Okay.
Or it's just, I forgot what it's, because I think it's my net, but it's East Coast Dragon Lady.
Well, either way, I'm going to put the links in the show
Yes.
notes.
Yeah.
And then I
And
think you said your book is on Amazon, right?
yes.
Okay.
Um, and I also, YouTube, a lot of people have found me through YouTube.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I've
Do
got like,
I want to make sure on the jot form I have your YouTube stuff, but if I don't, you can send it to me.
yes, I'll
Yeah.
send, yeah, because I always forget about that. But I've been doing at least weekly, sometimes more often. I'll do a weekly, or I pull cards, I talk about
Okay.
the week, talk about what's happened, talk about channeling.
Okay.
If I do a live, which I've started to do, I'll post the channel, what I've channeled on there as well.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, YouTube, you can. I'm under Barbara Worsley, I think, but I'll send it to you because
Yeah,
I can
send it to me and
remember.
I'll put it in the show notes for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
But
and
I go ahead.
and my Oracle deck as well. So on my Facebook page will tell you about services that I offer. I also offer a 45-minute sort of come and talk to me, and if we can talk about, if you need anything from me, come and ask me questions about dragons.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
so yeah,
Perfect. So thank you so much, Barbara, for being with me
good.
today. I
Yeah,
think that we need to catch up more often,
yes,
actually.
I think so. It's been a few years, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
been a couple years, so it's been a
yes, I
minute.
know. Yeah, I
Um,
know. Yeah, it was great seeing you.
yes, you too. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here. So if you want to help me tell our audience goodbye, bye,
All
you
right,
guys. See you
bye.
next time. Thank you for joining Own Your Essence. I am beyond grateful to our guests for sharing their wisdom and to you, our listeners, for being part of this journey toward healing and empowerment. If today's conversation resonated with you, please feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this space with others who might need it. If you have questions, topic ideas, want to be a guest, or would like to work with me privately, send an email. I'd love to hear from you.